Hello and welcome to another section. In this case, we're going to be also discussing sequencer, but I want to show you quickly how you can also create sequencers, but at the same time, they are also be working under different methods of what I have presented in the previous video using normal master sequence, but also we can use master sequence to work with subsequences. And in this case, what I'm going to be doing is to presenting you another way of working with sequencers. So in this case, what I have is already have some of these videos here, which are pretty much presented as you can see on each sequencer. I'm going to open up one sequencer. And currently my cameras are literally being set to be spawnable, which is fine because this is pretty much what we all want. Make sure that every shot here has a spawnable camera. However, you can also do the same thing with this camera rig rail. So let me go convert this spawnable. So that means every time we use this camera rig rail, it only spawns when we have sequencer being turned on. So at the moment, there's no, in this case, rig rail, which is fine. So every time we load this, the rig will start to appear. And we gotta do the same thing here with this one. And obviously, the reason why, because it disappeared, right? Which is kind of obvious, it's fine, knowing that this is a matter of changing this from just the possessable into a spawnable. But we can always convert back to where it was originally. So I'm gonna just convert to in this case, possessable. So once I close it, it will still be there. Now what I can do is to duplicate that one. So I'm gonna Control D, duplicate. So in case I will use this for this one to be spawnable. So let's go back to our sequencer that we've been using. With this one, because there are two cameras some reason being used to spawn, so I'm gonna just turn this off, and I'm gonna literally use this one, assign the actor to the rig rail, which I'm using. So I'm gonna use the second one. So leave it like this, and I'm gonna go back, and I am going to use this as a spawnable. So I'm gonna convert this to spawnable. All right, so that means if I save this, it will disappear just like that, but the other rig rail here stays in as the second one because I have copied that and I assigned this to this one here. And let me repeat the same process. So I'm going to duplicate that one and I'm going to set this to spawnable just like that. And there you go. So that I got every single rig rail being set to spawnable. And we can do the same thing here. So I'm gonna literally go back to my rig rail, which I have here. So let me go check this out. First thing, I'm gonna duplicate it. Use the third one. So I'm gonna assign this actor camera rig rail. And also set this to spawnable. Just like that. Okay. So every time I close this, and last but not least, I'm gonna use this guy. And because I already have all this rig rails, I can just use comfortably that guy. So I'm gonna just literally look for my camera, the rig rail here, and I'm going to also set this to spawnable. And so every time I save this and I close this, every time I don't have any rig rail here, I can always load up some of these sequences and make them be literally load up in the same line. Obviously, you can change the position of your rig rail depending on your action of your cinematic that you want to try to create. But because for this exercise, I just want to show you some quick tips and tricks to have a ability to play with those, in this case, shots. So this is the old way how I present it to actually have you working with different sequences. But there's also another way to work with this. So I'm gonna literally make a copy of this one. So I'm gonna duplicate it. I call it subsequences. So in this case, I just called it ls_master subsequences. I'm gonna open this up. Let me remove all of these shots here. And I'm going to literally also remove this fading here effect. Remove this guy. And what I'm gonna do, go and use subsequence track. So what it does is basically does the same thing what master's been doing, but I can just add those sequences that I was working on and add them all individually. I think I place them like this. What's so cool about it, it already tells you the length of these sequences and you can move them around. Even if you can right click and color code them. So let's say I want to change to something else. So let's say a blue. The next one would be green, for example, and so on. So now you see my subsequence exists. All right. Another thing I need to also add is also my camera cut track because I need to know which cameras I'm using. So if I click on this one, so you start seeing these cameras are being literally using the same cameras that are being assigned to each of these shots, which means every time you are working with the shots, and let's go back, then it always assigned to this current camera that you are literally using to play with this sequences that currently the animation is taking place. And of course, because this is a bit too long, so I'm gonna make this shorter. So let me just get closer to it, select it and make this shorter. Say this short, and I can just move this here and basically open this up. Obviously now you see the car, it's not moving along with this plan, so we need to check out what's happening inside. So make sure you select the car in your sequencer, attach your camera rig rail to the car, just like what you've seen. And I'm going just to minimize that. And I'm going back to my subsequence. So now if I throw this in, so now you start seeing the shot started to take place. And I need to do the same thing to fix with this shot. So let me just check this out, and I'm going to search for camera rig rail. I've replaced this, so there was some already attachment, but I was missing ID. So that means I had to go and literally constrain the ID by selecting my camera rig rail, which was inside the sequencer, which solves the problem. So as you can see, it's so cool effect because now I can literally make the whole cinematic working just like I want it to be. So I'll go back to my sequence here. So if I throw this camera in and like see how it follows all together, and then you see it was doing all these animations now, so cool. So let me just throw another animation that I already have, which is the sequencer. So I'm going back to my sequencer. So I'm going to select number, let's say 3. And let's do the same thing. So let me go again, attach to the right place. So I'm going right click, search for my bind, which is the camera rig rail. Yes, that's right. And I'm going to just change the angle of the camera. So instead of following the car, I will basically move this out of the way, which still follows the car, but from different angle. So let's have a look. I'm going to then go to my selection, and I'm going to see where my camera is. Right click, pilot it. And I'm going to remove these keyframes. First make that, yeah. Let's say I start from here. I save that. So as it moves, or maybe to try it from the top. Something like that. So I'm gonna save this move. So you see, like it's doing some very cool tricks out there. So I'm gonna also make sure I've set this to linear. I'm gonna extend a little bit, and I'm gonna maybe change my focal length to be working sharper, and change my focus length. I'll change my focus distance here. So as you can see, the camera starts to really act nice and well. So I can then save it, and I'll go back to my sequencer, which is the subsequence, and I will add this now to my subsequence. This was the third one. And I go and lock this into my viewport here, see what it looks like. So now you start seeing very cool effects taking place, right? So now I'm literally moving with my car. I'm using the same camera, and then I can just change my angles here and there. And then that comes under one sequence here. So this is very cool, which is ideally the most crucial thing to work with when it's dealing with this kind of work. So, and now what you have here is they're ready to render. I hope this was enough to give you a lot more clues on what exactly can be done, and just adding and improving the sequencer's ability to render, also get all the shots into one combination of these master subsequences. And I hope that you found it very useful, and if definitely have some fun in setting up the sequences however you want to, so that it's ready to render the final outcome and entire shots that you're working with. And in the next one, we're gonna explain how we can render under different settings, which are gonna be lumens, And then later on, we're going to get into path tracer. Thank you so much all for this time, and see you in the next coming chapters.